Can we have our little golf clap for episode 3?
Episode 3, baby. Wow.
Woo!
3 weeks in the making.
Wow. Are we changing anything up?
Our background.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are changing
a little more
our background.
subtle, not as colorful. We got some complaints.
Did we really get complaints? Did we really get complaints?
We got some feedback.
Or did my wife complain? All right, which is the same.
We got some feedback, and I always appreciate feedback. That's what we're here for. We want to know, guys. We don't know what we're doing. So if you say it's too busy, we're going to change it up.
Yeah, tell us. Please.
Yeah. So,
please.
What do we have on the agenda today?
We are going to talk about, well, all right. First and foremost, anyone who lives an active lifestyle, pay attention. There's an old adage about how you treat injuries, one of which I'm suffering from right now, that may not be the right way to go.
This is really cool. Very cool topic, because we all think of the same method to cure, to do, and things. Technology has changed. Science has changed. Science has evolved.
Medicine has changed.
All right.
Well, medical theory, right?
So that brings us to the overall topic, which is old beliefs.
Old beliefs, old wives' tales. What did you hear? What did you grow up with? What did you hear from abuela? What did you hear from mom that doesn't make any sense and was just disproven by science, or we really just ignore? That's what we're going to talk about today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about your damn toe.
Oh my gosh. You guys, you probably can't see this on camera, but I really messed my toe up.
And how did you do that, honey?
Doing the thing that I love best on Saturday mornings, playing basketball.
Drum roll.
Look, I'm not gonna walk y'all through like the whole basketball story, but I fucked my toe up badly. All right, had to walk
basketball.
Had to limp myself off of the court.
Everybody wants to know, was Nikki Jam
No, Nikki
there?
Jam was not there.
Oh my
God. I jinxed it. I freaking jinxed it. Nikki Jam may never play basketball with us again now that I know that he was there.
Wow, what a shame.
So, anyways, sprained my toe, swore I broke my toe, had to go to urgent care. This is not a vlog. I'm not going to tell you through talk you through my day. But what was a weird coincidence is about a week ago, I read an article in the Wall Street Journal about the infamous rice. Now, for all athletes, people that were former athletes, even people that are active and have injured themselves or sprained and strained themselves, RICE is the acronym for rest, ice, compression, elevation. Nice, babe. How do you know that? All right. Didn't hear it from me.
Come on, everyone knows that.
Allegedly, that actually slows down the healing process.
What?
So says some physical therapists.
This is new news.
Tell
us more.
Look, first 12 hours, definite ice, definite elevation. All right, that helps reduce the swelling. But the rest and necessarily the compression might not necessarily be the right thing, because...
Is it dependent on the injury?
It is, but we're talking about sprains and strains.
Okay.
And so with my severely sprained toe, where I'm hobbling around...
Is this your big toe?
Yeah. Sucks.
Ouch.
You can't do anything about it, but rest.
And,
rest now.
And ice
Rest
it?
now. So what leading physical therapists now are doing and implementing with their patients is you ice in the beginning. The beginning mean the first 8 hours. And yes, you rest the first 8 hours. But after that, you get up and you get moving. You let pain dictate how much movement you have, but it all goes back to Mother Nature, and that the body is so intelligent that just let pain be your guide. Move it, continue to move it, because resting too much, icing too much compression, too much elevation early, which is what we've all been used to, like 24 to 48 hours, then it slows down the healing process.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So basically, you just have to rest the first, you said 8 hours?
Yeah.
And then keep moving and grooving.
Keep moving and grooving, letting pain be your guide. That's it.
Very interesting. And
so maybe there's a little bit of maybe rice is not disproven.
It's just a different, not a different order, but you can skip.
It's like truncated, right? Yeah. And it's like, get going. It reminds me of when I tore my ACL and tore my meniscus. And physical therapy is aggressive. They want you moving. They want you pushing it to the limits to really get going. No longer is it you're off weight or you're not putting any weight on your foot for 6 months or 7 months. Those days are gone.
And what did the doctor tell you at urgent care today?
That it's not broken.
It's not okay. Good. But what did he tell you as far as rice?
He said something along the similar lines. He goes, ice it now on and off, which is what we've all done. If you've ever been injured and you've had a coach, you've had a PT kind of coach you, or you're just informed because you've read about it, you absolutely ice it to control inflammation. You rest it, you elevate it by putting it above your heart. But from what that article pointed out, and a little bit of the reading that I did afterwards, not necessarily, the inflammation is not necessarily a bad thing, right? So you don't want to reduce it. So
interesting.
Just maybe take it with a grain of salt, maybe do your own research, but it's not concrete set in stone. Rice for this amount of time is not the best way to go about things. And so we were thinking about it. We talked about it. There's a lot of bullshit that we've heard from the olden days, old adages, wives' tales.
There are so many, and I bet our listeners and audience can tell us some in the comments.
We heard some today. We were polling some people. We were asking some people, what did they hear?
Yeah, so for the viewers that don't know, before this podcast, we actually have dinner together. We have a delicious dinner together. We pick a spot and we discuss a topic.
Yeah.
And we kind of set the agenda for you guys. And Donald loves to ask our neighbors,
randoms,
our dinner neighbors, a little bit about the topic and what they like. And I love that he does that because it kind of gives us a different perspective, not just our perspective. So we asked, what did we ask? The two ladies next to us.
Well, we told them, we're thinking about talking about
old beliefs.
Right, or just conclusions that were said with conviction by a family,
by abuela,
the grandmas, by the great grandmas, right? Like all of these older, wiser family members and friends or community leaders.
And not necessarily
and you're like,
are they wiser. They're wiser in the moment.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
They're wiser in the moment, but after generations, we're actually much wiser, right? So we asked them, what did we ask? We're like, okay, what are some maybe old wives' tales or things
that you remember when you heard as a child?
Or just old beliefs, whether it be medicine-wise.
Right, whether it be in the medical field.
Like rice, for example, or whether it be just family, relationship, growing up.
Yeah, I mean, just think about
everything
just
in
like
general.
Spitfire, right? It's like immediately one that I think about is don't walk on the cold tile with bare feet.
That's so
I was screamed at for that. That's so ridiculous.
Or don't go outside with your hair freshly washed because your hair's wet and now you're gonna get sick.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Wait, the best one is don't take a shower when there's a thunderstorm outside.
No, but I had never heard that before. That's crazy. So tell me how the hell you heard that.
So I've heard that. It's very abuela, great grandma, where they would say, do not take a shower when there's a thunderstorm outside, and that's just not how science works. It's not.
But what were they afraid of? That you'd be more likely to be struck by lightning?
Struck by lightning in your shower. Interesting. But it doesn't work like that when you're inside of a house.
No, maybe in a cabin or a shack.
Maybe, but now the way that modern homes are constructed, that's not happening.
Times have changed on that one. Okay. What about the? Yeah, but there may be science to this one. What about swimming? Waiting 30 minutes before getting back in the pool after you eat.
After you eat. That's an interesting one. The digestion. You need to be... So there's a little bit of truth to that because let's say you have a full lunch. Do you want to go to the gym right after that? Should you go to the gym
but we're talking about wading in the water.
And no,
that's different.
But you're swimming. You're actively moving
Are you?
Your
No,
body.
we're not doing laps. I just want to get into the water like normal adults do.
Or mom
we're just hanging out.
You can't get into the water yet. Because
you get out of the pool. You may be struck by lightning, or you may throw up your food.
Or you may get sick because your hair's wet.
Oh my God. Wow. This is like growing up Catholic. We just lived in guilt. It's like guilt, fear, everything. Just don't even walk.
So there is
just stay in church. I promise you, every time I got in the pool after I ate, nothing bad happened. That's a lie. It's a lie.
So you didn't throw up?
It's a lie.
Did our parents think that we were going to barf in the pool?
They're idiots. They're all idiots. You know that moment, sometimes it happens when you're 8, 9, I don't know what age, where you realize you're smarter than your parents? Yeah.
8 or 9? That happened to you when you were 8 or 9?
Yeah.
That you were smarter than your parents?
Yes. That you could run circles around them.
Well, honey, you're a special case because that's not my case. One that's more recently that I heard while I was pregnant, and I didn't take the time to really look in and dig into it, was postpartum. Wear socks around the house.
I don't. But what? Well, why?
But what is it? I don't know what it is. No, there are not the night nurses. The
au pairs.
Douala is it Douala?
I have no idea. This is your cup. This is your field.
I know. They say
midwives, I know night nurses and au pairs now.
Yeah, Douala. So
and nannies
and Douala midwives, they suggest wearing socks postpartum if you have a tile floor. And I heard that, and I just don't understand. And I honestly
don't understand it either. All right.
Okay,
it
so
sounds
if you guys
like
are
one of those
listening,
things.
I want to know what your opinion is, or if you have more information, let us know why that is.
Those that have had a kid?
Like why? Why are we wearing socks postpartum?
No, that sounds to me like something where if you have sex in a certain position, you're more likely to have a female than a male. That's a bunch of BS.
Yeah. So what are some
do.
Other beliefs that have been ingrained into us that we just because we've heard it since we were little kids that we believe it, but it's not necessarily true?
I can't really think of any others besides those. Really the ones is about being sick. Like if you're outside in the cold, you may get sick. But if you grew up in Florida, the cold was 60 degrees. If you're outside when it's 60, you're not going to get sick. Does that mean that everyone in like the UK or like in Greenland gets sick every time they're outside, or more likely to get sick? I think it's what you're conditioned to feel. I also think it's just what your immune system's not going to drop when it's that cold.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. Because I, as a mother, if it is cold outside and Stellan's hair is wet, I will blow dry it before we go outside.
Yeah, but
I think there's some truth to that.
Babe, why?
Because I feel like when your head is cold.
No, you've been brainwashed.
You see, I'm brainwashed, and that's okay.
Crank that out.
That
you
is
need to
okay.
lobotomize that out, right?
So that brings us actually to our, brings us to our topic.
Okay.
About old beliefs, raising children.
It's okay. Tell me. I thought we were on topic.
No, we are talking about it, but that goes to our topic of kids. Should they be seen?
Oh, okay. Wait. All right. Transitioning to that. So we were thinking about this topic of old adages, and then something that we had chatted about with some of our friends, actually one of your coworkers who is a good friend of ours, is how when you were a child, what was the dynamic like at the dinner table? And specifically,
versus
did you have
how
parents?
It is, right. Well, today.
Well, how did you grow up? Did you have parents that engaged you and allowed you to speak about, just speak in general at the dinner table? Or did they treat you more like a lesser, like you're the child?
Yeah.
Just quiet, listen, do not interrupt, and let the adults speak.
Or how a lot of parents have realized what the better way is, not the right way. It's just what the better way is today, modern day, versus how it was back then. So growing up for me, I'm one of 5. Okay, so I'm 4 or 5. And growing up, it felt like, not that I was not included in conversations. I was not excluded. I was not told not to speak, but
you weren't silenced.
I wasn't silenced,
but you weren't engaged.
But I wasn't engaged.
Okay.
Which for me, if I'm not being engaged in a conversation, even as a young child,
how boring.
I'm naturally not going to be engaged, right?
No shit.
Because I have no idea what these adults are talking about,
yeah.
Right? So if you're not engaging a child in that moment, then that child, me, is daydreaming, right? So growing up, I felt like with a lot of older siblings and my parents talking, having their dinner parties at home or at friends' houses, I never participated in those conversations. I don't think they purposely excluded me. They just didn't engage. Whereas other friends have expressed to me that they were purposely excluded. Do not speak unless spoken to. And that is such an old school mentality. Like, I would never do that with our son.
And when we brought this up like in our small circles, when you guys brought it up with me and asked me,
you were surprised.
I was so shocked because the household I grew up in was where everyone sitting at the dinner table is engaged in every conversation that we have, right?
Which is a beautiful thing.
So long as you can talk about it. And I think that started when I was 10 years old, 9 years old.
The adults at the table were having conversations. You guys would be engaged by the adults in that very same conversation.
Well, no, it's not that we're having conversations. We had a conversation.
The kids were having.
Everyone just sitting at the table. It didn't matter how old you were. You just asked each other.
Even if your parents had guests over.
Yes, because we sat at the table 13, 14 years old. And with guests.
And if the guests, let's say that the adults are speaking. Let's say it's four adults speaking.
Yeah.
And there's, let's say, 3 kids.
Yeah.
They would engage.
Yeah, of course they would engage. And then there would be a moment, I think, especially with like political dinners or business dinners.
You grew up in that
where we would finish dinner, we'd run off because we'd want to run off
at a certain point.
Go play video games.
Of course,
or something.
you go off and do your thing.
And then probably the conversations got to a different level. Right? They talked about a lot more sensitive information. They talked about more topics.
Right.
They talked about business.
But while you were there, we
were engaged.
You were participating in the conversation.
We were engaged, and maybe we were the anomaly. I do remember some of our guests being shocked that we would talk about these topics with everybody at the table.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was treated as normal. I think there were folks that came over and they were like, how the hell does this 15-year-old know like who the Secretary of State is or what's going on in geopolitics? It's not even that they engaged us. If you didn't know what was going on in the world, then shame on you. That's the way dinner went.
Like if you didn't know like current events?
Yeah, or who the vice president was, who the president was, what their role was. Can you even explain electoral politics?
And did you feel like you were being quizzed?
Well, it was a constant pop quiz, all right?
So you had to know your shit.
Yeah, of course you had to know your shit. What was your civic duty? You had to understand government. I mean, we were growing up in D.C.
Yeah, but you're a product of political parents.
Yes.
In that world. So that was your world. So you better fucking know your shit.
So we spoke up, or else we would be.
And then there's other families that if you spoke, and it wasn't your turn or it was out of place, you're getting.
What?
That chancleta.
Oh. Yeah. There we go. It's up here. I
laugh, but like how horrible for a child who has all these thoughts and curiosity and questions, and now you're told that you can't even speak because it's an adult dinner party.
It's very militant. Oh, look, maybe that was unique.
It was, because we've spoken to our friends, and that was not our situation.
Exactly. And so I think the most important thing is with parents and any of the parents that listen and chime in is how are you going to treat your child? Do you have a rule? You have a general rule, or if you have multiple children, does it depend on the maturity of the child, right? I also think you've got to understand who's sitting at the table. If you're dealing with the mind of a 6-year-old, whether they are 6 years old or whether they're 10 years old, whatever their mental capacity is and level of engagement, that's going to dictate how the conversation goes too.
Yeah, and that's okay, but there's a truth in you're building someone's confidence, even as a young 6-year-old. If you're engaging them.
Yes.
Even if it's a silly little topic, or even if you're trying to include them so you're changing maybe the subject of the conversation, but you're still trying to include them because you understand that it's going, in the long run, it's going to build their confidence. It's going to build their self-expression. It's going to build their emotional intelligence.
Totally. Like, I can't imagine what that would have done.
I don't feel like our parent, or at least my parents, even though they did an amazing job raising 5 children on their own, I don't think they were even thinking about that. Like, let me engage all 5 of my children in these conversations while we're at the dinner table with another, let's say 2 other guests, even though they may not know what we're talking about, let's still engage them. Mm-hmm. I don't think they thought that. I don't think they even thought that far in advance, right? Or like, it's going to help shape them.
Yeah, they may not have.
Right?
They may not have thought about what the consequences of doing that would be, right?
Yeah.
Because you do what you know.
And for so long, I was a very quiet child to myself, and I really think that it evolves or grows, or it's from those dinner tables where I was quiet, I had no self-expression, and I was better off just staying quiet. But then you know what that does to someone who's young? Oh, I have these thoughts, or I have these moments where I probably want to express myself, but I hold back.
Yeah, of course it would.
You hold back because
of course it would.
Because you think you're going to get judged, whatever it is, and you're so young, you don't know what's going on.
They weren't welcomed.
Right. Or at least you thought they weren't.
So here's what I'm curious to see what folks think and how they were brought up, right? Is it a culture thing? Is it
I'm Hispanic.
a religious thing, right?
Just so that the people know, my family is Argentinian, Italian, and your mom is...
It's like Spanish American.
Spanish American.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what is it? Is it come from a specific culture? Is it just old school?
It's a generation.
Is it first generation immigrant? Right?
I think 100% it's a generational thing, because knowing what we know now and how we understand how your child, even at the youngest age where you think they don't know anything, and it's truly shaping everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you expose them to, is actually shaping their life and building the foundation of their unconscious mind. We understand that now. I don't feel like our parents did. At least I don't think. And even though my mom is very spiritual and very advanced and very smart woman, and so is my dad, I just don't think that they understood that. So being who we are, a lot of the parents today, modern age, 2025 parents, we understand that. So I think we'll be different with our children, but
maybe not though. That's what we think.
Yeah, maybe not.
Right?
Right.
That's the whole point of it. So let us know. It's an interesting topic. I think back and I loved those dinners. I absolutely adored them. I loved engaging. I loved meeting such interesting people. These were clients of my parents.
And
These were other elected officials.
You grew up in a world of politics. Yeah. For those who don't know, Donnie did. I grew up in a world of entrepreneurs. But what I love, what your parents did, is the fact that they would get home and say and tell you stories like, guess who I met with today? Right. I met with the Secretary of State. Do you know who the Secretary of State is? And they would break it down for you. Yep. And I think that's so cool because it was such a learning lesson. It was a teaching moment every time. Yep. I love that. All right, so did I. Whereas my parents were they were huge entrepreneurs, always worked, always had their businesses, very intelligent people. But I don't recall them ever coming home and telling us, like, you know what we figured out today? Mm-hmm. This and this and this. We figured out that if you do this and it equals this, or whatever the entrepreneur mindset. Yeah, like they maybe have learned a life hack or an entrepreneur hack. Yeah. That they maybe could have shared. Right. Or maybe not. Or like just a learning lesson in their own world as entrepreneurs with 5 children. They never came home and shared that knowledge with us. I feel like we've become... the 5 children have become who they are based off of what we saw, like when we were in the office with them. Yeah, but you know what? When they were on the phone. Yeah, but here's the most important thing is, like, you turned out pretty okay. So I think so. It wasn't I think so. And a development killer. No, for sure. And look, my dad was an entrepreneur in sales, and it's funny enough that 3 out of the 5 of us are in sales. And I don't think that's a coincidence. No, it's not. And we learned so many characteristics and how to be and who to be when you are in sales through our father, 100%. Oh yeah. So look, that's kind of our take. That's our story. Really would like to hear about any like these wives' tales that you'll never forget, that you think are complete bullshit, or would love to hear just kind of like dinner table, really cadence and how engaged your parents allowed you to be. This was news to me that I was the unique one. I was the anomaly in our household. So let us know. Yeah. And I think with our son, we'll make sure to do it the right way. What we think is the right way, right? Yeah. Which is engaging them, having them participate, asking them questions, telling them things, even though they don't ask. Until they sound like an idiot, right? Until they sound like an idiot. No, I'm just messing around. All right, we want to know. We want to know in the comments what you guys think. Again, old wives' tales, maybe it's in the family realm or it's in the medical realm. We want to hear it. We want to know what you've heard for so long, for so many years from abuela, that is not necessarily true. We want to know.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.